Elon, what's your mission today with lawmakers? Just love?
Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my newest patron, Bradley A. Thank you for choosing to support the channel. Listen, I'll be honest, I could argue both sides of this one, but after hearing these comments from UAW President Shawn Fain, very curious what you guys think.
Whether you're going to be able to compete on a relative basis with a lean and mean Tesla when you're asking for a 40% increase in wages. It just doesn't...
Competition is code word for race to the bottom. And I'm not concerned about Elon Musk building more rocket ships so he can fly into outer space and stuff. Our concern is working class people need their share of economic justice in this world. And, you know, people want to talk about class warfare and say this is class warfare. Class warfare has been going on in this country for the last 40 years. And the billionaire class has been walking away with everything while the working class has been scraping to get by paycheck to paycheck. And it's time that changes. I mean, the EV transition, billions, hundreds of billions of our taxpayer dollars are helping fund this transition. And labor cannot be left behind. Workers deserve their share of equity in this economy.
To the latter point, totally agree. Workers deserve their fair share. But to the original question that he totally ducked and for some reason talked about Elon and SpaceX, that's the real question. If these companies pay more to their workers over the long run, the question still remains, how are they going to compete with Tesla in a new EV world? Because the argument goes in the short term, sure, the workers will get paid a bit more, but in 5 years, if those jobs are gone altogether because these companies can't find a way to offer a competitive EV with Tesla, then those jobs won't be there at all.
In today's wages, in 2023, when you hire in and get promoted to full-time, you're making $10 an hour less than you were making in 2007. It's unacceptable. I'll go back to this, they could double our wages, not raise the price of vehicles, and still make billions in profits.
To that point, Shawn Fain has to know that these big three are still losing a ton of money on manufacturing EVs, and they're negotiating contracts for the manufacturing of new EVs. So, as I've said before, yes, these companies are making profits now, but when that ICE gravy train runs out, that's not going to be the case, and that's the future that we're building for right now. I could rant back and forth on this one for a while though, so let me know what you guys think. This one is a pretty big red flag to the severity of the situation, and if you're wondering why, it's because the EU is very reliant on selling cars in China. So now if they're considering raising the tariffs on Chinese imported vehicles, you know China's going to retaliate to some degree, so that may ultimately weaken their position even further. Today, the European Commission launched an investigation into whether to impose punitive tariffs to protect EU producers against cheaper EV imports that they're arguing are benefiting from state subsidies. The Commission will have up to 13 months to assess whether to impose tariffs above the standard 10% EU rate for cars. Listen to this, the anti-subsidy investigation covers battery-powered cars from China, and it includes non-Chinese brands, which yes, would include Tesla as well. Of course, the Chinese Chamber of Commerce has already responded and said that their sector's competitive advantage is not due to subsidies, which is certainly up for debate. The European Commission said China's share of EVs sold in Europe has risen to 8% and could reach 15% in 2025, noting prices are typically 20% below EU-made models. And we've been covering this story all summer, talking about companies like Renault aiming to slash their production costs for EVs by about 40%. But again, the main question is, what type of backlash might the EU face from this whole thing, and would they be better served focusing on things at home like trying to lower electricity prices and reducing bureaucratic hurdles? Chinese state subsidies for EVs and hybrids were $57 billion from 2016 to 2022, according to Alix Partners. I also found it interesting the NIO CEO estimated that his company and Chinese peers had a cost advantage of as much as 20% over rivals like Tesla, thanks to China's grip over the supply chain and raw materials. The thing is, even if this estimate from NIO CEO was accurate, it's not showing up in their bottom line. If you look at NIO's Q2 results, their net loss was still $835 million. Back to the main story though, if you read between the lines, this is essentially the EU saying, we're behind the 8 ball, we know we cannot compete right now, so we need to try to slow down the competition in any way possible. The problem is, if they go through with this, there will undoubtedly be repercussions from China, a market that they're already very reliant on. From the Financial Times, we're still getting comments from the Munich Auto Show. While European manufacturers showed EVs coming to market in 2026 or 27, the Chinese had cars ready for the forecourts. The sense was of an industry left behind. It took too long to get to the new reality. This from a rep at the Center of Automotive Research, and he added, there was a long time when car makers said, we see the issue of battery electric vehicles, but we don't believe in it. We have the head of automotive at Oliver Wyman, a consulting firm, saying from an efficiency standpoint, there's no doubt battery electric vehicles are the preferred technology. The industry needs to be decisive and go all in. And we have a rep from an industry think tank, Carbon Tracker, saying thanks to indecisiveness and delay, they could now be a disrupted one. The industry was whistling as the darkness crept in. Eventually, you run into reality. From S&P Global, what do Tesla owners buy when they return to market? I bet you can guess the answer. S&P says for a relatively new brand, Tesla is already building world-class loyalty numbers. And don't forget, in 2022, Tesla won all of these loyalty awards. They continue, a whopping 59.9% of all Tesla Model S owners replace their cars with another Tesla. When it comes to the Model 3, the number is even higher at 72.8%. Over the last year, 40.3% of Model 3 owners that returned to market for a new vehicle switched to a Model Y, and another 26.1% went for another Model 3. As for the hot-selling Model Y, it has the highest model loyalty rate at 37.3%. Second place would be the Mustang Mach-E at 18.5%. And yes, that's for electric CUVs. Tesla also has some Model S and X households downsizing to a Model 3 or Model Y as replacement vehicles. And once Tesla launches the Cybertruck, that'll give them another option in the lineup for more crossover. So how does a relatively new brand build world-class loyalty? It's pretty simple. You make world-class products. I don't even need to comment on this one. I just want us all to sit here for a second or two and take it in. Looking at the share of new EV registrations by brand for January to July of this year. And yes, this is for the US market. The EU has announced 352 million euros in new funding for 26 projects to build new charging stations and hydrogen stations, as well as to electrify ports and airports. The projects have already been selected, and Tesla is the biggest beneficiary of this round of funding, with a total of around 148.7 million euros for the construction of 7.1 thousand charging points with an output of 250 kilowatts each at 687 locations in 22 countries. Doing the math, that's 42% of the funding amount available at the beginning going to Tesla. Some of that will be for new superchargers, some of that will be to replace the old ones. It should be noted they're saying the EU Commission still has to formally make the financing decisions. I know this document is very hard to see, but if you're interested in some of the other winners, I'll leave this on the screen so you can go ahead and zoom in. And scrolling down, you'll see the second tranche of funds going to Tesla through a subsidiary, Tesla Poland. This story truly is a case of the rich getting richer. And shout out to Strawburger for sharing this with me, but he pointed out on the BAFA list, more on that in a second, the 2024 Model 3 is coming in under 40,000 euros. First, what in the world is BAFA? It's the Federal Office for Economic Affairs and Export Control. So if I'm understanding this correctly and there's nothing lost in translation, in Germany, the maximum government bonus amount of 4,500 euro is paid if the new BEV's net list price is below 40,000 euro. So yes, the new Model 3 may qualify. Danielle spotted a Highland Model 3 around SpaceX yesterday. I just wanted to clarify, no, there's not an orange color. It was actually red. It was just distorted from the lenses. At the Detroit Auto Show, visitors will be able to see the S3XY lineup, but it's the older Model 3 and no Cybertruck. Speaking of the Model 3, it appears that from the approved MIIT documents, the Model 3 Plus is going to be the official name for Project Highland. Back to the Detroit Auto Show, it turns out no Tesla reps are actually there. It seems like the show just brought some of these Teslas on their own. And because Tesla did not have any reps there officially, Chris had to actually teach some of the drivers of these Tesla vehicles doing ride and drives some features of the cars.
A new phrase is popping up among German car executives: China speed. That's how fast they feel they need to move to catch up to the Chinese car industry that's grown into a battery-powered juggernaut. Here in Germany, the auto industry shrank by 3.5% in June compared with the previous month. That drag is slowing down German industrial production at large, which shrank by 1.5% during the same period.
The debacle that is public EV charging outside of Tesla is now yielding some new funding to fix the situation. The US government plans to launch a $100 million effort to tackle the reliability issue and make public charging less annoying and more consistent. The funding aims to repair and replace thousands of old or out of commission chargers. As we know, around 1 in 5 attempts at charging at a public station outside of the Tesla network is a bust. The money will target more than 6,000 existing chargers that are classified as temporarily unavailable. At latest count, according to government data, there are 150,000 public charging ports available, 34,000 of which are DC fast chargers. According to the data, some of the temporarily unavailable chargers might just be old. About 20% were installed before 2019, which in the grand scheme of things really is not that old. Companies that report the information will have about 1 month to make sure their data is correct, which could lead to a ballooning of the temporarily unavailable list to try to qualify for funding. On one hand, this is great. We absolutely need to fix the problem. On the other hand, this is kind of like rewarding companies for doing shoddy work and not maintaining their own infrastructure. In case you saw that batch of 15 Tesla vehicles that were on fire the past few days in Germany, there was an anonymous letter, according to Alex, and a left-wing radical group has claimed responsibility for the arson of those 15 Teslas. This was in protest against Tesla and Elon Musk. This part's almost hard to read. In the letter they said, the corporation, Tesla, represents like no other the ideology of green capitalism and the continuing global and colonial destruction. Presenting e-cars as a climate-friendly alternative is a cynical lie because of the origin of the components. Just real quick from the run on less results, we have the Tesla. Tesla vehicle number 3 on day 2, doing 794 miles in 1 day with 1 charging session, covering 4 deliveries. I've been looking for any detail on the payload, and Next Big Future did say the final reports will include data on the payloads. Tesla is set to make a pretty big move in Australia and the UK, but before we dive into it, it's important to know what this Tesla Electric is all about.
So today, I'm going to walk you through the benefits of Tesla's electric plan to save and make you money. But did you know that Tesla actually created its own electricity plan for your Texas home? And when that's paired with a Tesla Powerwall, you're able to maximize savings from your system when it matters most. Tesla has been a growing and trusted name in the energy industry, and their electricity plans are designed with one goal in mind: to power your home, vehicle, and community sustainably. 85% of the state falls under a deregulated territory, which means consumers can pick and choose which retail energy provider they would like to purchase energy from. There are no monthly customer fees or cancellation fees. You get compensated for your excess solar energy at a real-time wholesale rate. When ERCOT sends out calls for conservation, prices increase on the wholesale market, and your batteries discharge energy into the grid, and you get compensated handsomely for providing valuable services to the grid. Not only will you save money on your electricity bill, but you can even make money with Tesla Electric. Tesla allows you to decide just how much power you're keeping stored inside your batteries or send off to the virtual power plant simply by sliding along your battery reserve right from your phone. Tesla actually gives your home the option to have unlimited nighttime charging for only $25 a month per vehicle. Currently, customers must have a Tesla Powerwall to qualify, meaning if you have other battery backups, you won't be eligible for this plan. Luckily, more than 85% of Texas is in a deregulated area.
So Tesla is looking to take that model from Texas and export it to Australia and the UK. Tesla already has licenses in South Australia to operate VPPs, but there are new applications lodged with the Australian energy market, signaling a much broader scope, and they're looking to do something similar in the UK. This seems like a perfect time for Tesla to do this, as they could help to fill the gap created by the mass exit of Australia's aging coal-fired generators. In its submission, of course, Tesla highlighted all of the software side benefits of Tesla Energy and specific things when it comes to these orchestrated, distributed energy resources. Tesla is considered to be far more advanced than its rival car makers, storage developers, and legacy utilities on all those fronts. And Tesla dominates the Australian EV market with around 60% of all EV sales to date. In a recruitment drive in the UK ahead of the launch of Tesla Energy there, the company highlighted its intention to disrupt the status quo and the legacy utility business as it has done in the global car market. It said it was looking for a new executive with a healthy skepticism of the status quo. An industry player said another wave of disruption ahead with a vertically integrated provider running energy services. Just a quick anecdote here on Tesla in India. Tesla plans to source components worth around $1.8 billion from India, and last year, 2022, already bought $1 billion of components from suppliers in India. So if this is accurate, Tesla is looking to nearly double its sourcing of components from Indian suppliers. On the Tesla website, they now have updated information and pictures of the Powerwall 3. They do say that Powerwall 3 is coming for new orders in 2024. Powerwall 2, of course, available today. With the 3, it features an integrated solar inverter and supports larger system sizes. Here are the official specs for the Powerwall 3. I'm not going to read all of these to you. We covered a lot of these already, but go ahead and pause if you'd like. The Powerwall 3 is flood resistant to over 2 feet. Checking out the FAQ, no, the Powerwall 3 does not qualify for that $500 rebate. Again, it'll be available to customers starting in 2024. No word on pricing. Sounds like we won't find out until 2024. Powerwall 3 can't be added to Powerwall 2 or to your existing solar system, but yes, it can be added to other Powerwall 3 batteries. Powerwall 3 is not compatible with other solar inverters, so Tesla is going to keep the Powerwall 2 in its lineup for that exact reason. The 3 is covered by the same 10-year warranty, and if you're in California and you are changing to a Powerwall 3, you need to enroll in the new net billing tariff.
And then they got this, the battery business, which is $6 billion a year, and that's going to be up triple over the next 3 years, and that's going to go up 30 times.
There's been a lot made over the UAW and the potential strike that is facing the big 3 automakers here. And what's been brought up is they have all of these EVs that they have to deal with. Their cost basis is quite a bit higher than Tesla's.
Way higher. So, so every time they sell an EV, they sell one fewer gasoline car. And the gasoline car they make money on, and the EVs they lose money on. The traditional OEMs are troubled right now. And I think ultimately, they're going to make metal, they're going to make the units, and ultimately they're going to buy software from Tesla. Tesla is going to be like Intel inside of a Microsoft computer. That's going to be Tesla. So Tesla is going to be everything that makes the car. All the inside is going to be Tesla. That's what's ultimately they're going to be licensed. When they introduce this Model 2, they're going to have the cost half of what it is right now, half. And they're going to sell the car for, I don't know, maybe a third less than what it is right now, and there's credits. So this is Toyota almost bankrupted the whole automobile industry 20 years ago.
Well, sadly, Ron got cut off right there, but I think we all know where he was going with that, talking about Toyota almost bankrupt the auto industry with their innovations, what Tesla is about to do with this next-gen platform.
And they're saying that there's too many people seeking the jobs or whatever they say it is, with too few people. And what Tesla has is this year, I think they have 3.5 million people seeking 30,000 jobs. Last year they had 3 million people seeking 20,000 jobs.
Just a great reminder from Ron of the talent at Tesla. Not only there already, but every new year, the top talent that Tesla attracts. With over 3.5 million job applications in 2022 alone, Tesla is choosing from the cream of the crop. Yet another story that only plays out in the long term. Elon was at the AI summit today and he was interviewed briefly after. For the sake of brevity, he just said that the consequences if AI goes south are severe. We already knew that. The good news, it seems like there is a consensus among people at that meeting that they all want some AI regulation. Elon does think at some point in the future there will be a regulatory body for AI. From Benchmark, Daimler Truck is planning a $2 to $3 billion gigafactory to produce LFP cells in the United States in a joint venture, pairing up with Chinese battery producer EVE Energy. They'll have a 10% stake. The site for this factory has not been decided, but it should be decided in the next 6 months. Production is forecast to begin 2027. We got a new interview with Thomas Ingenlath, the CEO of Polestar, who said they are not running after Tesla. He was asked what's more important, volume targets or achieving EBIT margin of 9%. He said the latter is much more important for us. They will not get into a price war to achieve volume targets like what Tesla is doing. They're definitely not running after Tesla. So Polestar is clearly more focused on being a premium luxury player, not focused on volume alone. Software caused delays for the Polestar 3, and he said that he was happy with the progress and how the car is maturing, so yes, it's getting there. For now, Polestar is still in the investment phase, but he said once the Polestar 2, 3, 4, and 5 are on the market, which should be by 2025, it should be possible to make the money we need to finance our future and reward our shareholders. Ford is planning to double the production of their hybrid version of their F-150 pickup as they grapple with slower than expected sales of its all-electric vehicles. Ford expects to increase sales of the V6 hybrid model during the 2024 model year to about 20% in the US. They didn't release specific production figures, but it likely equates to tens of thousands more of the hybrid vehicles.
You know, you can even help a stranded Tesla driver power up their car on the side of the road.
Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please take a second to like the video. If you did, you can find me on X, linked below, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.